other major news yesterday, this is an amazing thing. So Mark Zuckerberg, who of course is the head of Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, he went on Joe Rogan's podcast. And in the middle of Joe Rogan's podcast, he was asked by Joe about the fact that Facebook shut down distribution of the New York Post story about Hunter Biden. And Zuckerberg, for the first time, publicly explained why they had done this. Just a reminder, Joe Biden says that we are living in a semi-fascist state on the right. The people on the right are semi-fascists. If you want to talk about semi-fascism, you know what semi-fascism looks like? It looks like government agencies telling private sector actors to shut down distribution of information just before an election. That's what semi-fascism looks like. Effectively speaking, that's what Zuckerberg said the FBI did in the last days of the 2020 election. Here is Joe Rogan with Mark Zuckerberg.
There was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
We had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. But we weren't sort of as black and white about it as Twitter. We just kind of thought, hey, look, if the FBI, which I still view as a legitimate institution in this country, it's like very professional law enforcement, they come to us and tell us that we need to be on guard about something, then I want to take that seriously.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So the FBI, before the election, came to Mark Zuckerberg and they said to him, there's a lot of Russian disinformation going around. So if you see something, you might not want to distribute it. The FBI says that. And Zuckerberg's been on notice from Democrats that, quote unquote, distribution of disinformation is going to put him on the hot seat, legally speaking. And Dianne Feinstein said this to him years ago in an actual Senate hearing. She said, if you don't stop this, we will. So Zuckerberg is told by a government agency like the FBI, be on the lookout, BOLO, for Russian disinformation. The Hunter Biden laptop story pops up. A bunch of former FBI officials immediately come out and say, oh, there's probably Russian disinformation, and boom, the story just disappears. Does that look like legitimate use of law enforcement authority to you? The government openly coordinating with free speech supposed platforms like Facebook and like Twitter in order to quash particular stories on behalf of one political party? Because that's what it effectively amounts to. That should be frightening to everybody. And then they wonder why the institutional trust in the FBI is absolutely gone. You mean the FBI that spent 4 long years propagating lies about Russia's interference in the 2016 election with the permission of Donald Trump? You mean the same FBI run by people like James Comey, who legitimately attempted to leverage into public view the Steele dossier by handing a copy of it to Trump and then leaking that news, somebody leaked the news, to BuzzFeed? Amazing stuff. By the way, that same FBI, according to a whistleblower to Senator Ron Johnson, shut down any investigation of Hunter Biden's laptop until post the election. Senator Ron Johnson put out a letter this week to the Inspector General Michael Horowitz, in which he pointed out that whistleblowers are now coming forward. He says, whistleblowers have come forward to Congress alleging FBI officials intentionally undermined efforts to investigate Hunter Biden. Recently, my office heard from individuals with knowledge of the FBI's apparent corruption. After the FBI obtained that Hunter Biden laptop from the Wilmington, Delaware computer shop, these whistleblowers stated that local FBI leadership told employees, quote, you will not look at that Hunter Biden laptop, and that the FBI, quote, is not going to change the outcome of the election again. Further, these whistleblowers allege the FBI did not begin to examine the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop until after the 2020 presidential election, potentially a year after the FBI obtained the laptop in December 2019. That's an amazing story. So the FBI, according to a whistleblower now, apparently just quashed the investigation leading up to the election. And then we're supposed to believe that the institutions of our democracy are in working order and that opposition to Joe Biden's agenda is semi-fascist. This is the story that y'all are trying to tell here. And that is truly incredible stuff from Mark Zuckerberg. And it remains incredible that we are supposed to believe our media and our White House when they tell us lies about these sorts of things. Speaking of which, by the way, it's now been, there are a couple people who are just convicted in court. They pled guilty to trying to traffic Ashley Biden's diary. I know it's what's going on in the Biden family, but apparently they just like leaving private and personal information literally all over the place. Like Hunter Biden just leaves his laptops at computer repair shops for no reason. And Ashley left her diary apparently at some hotel and just took off. and it was obtained by a couple of people who then tried to sell it. Okay, so they were just convicted. We were told for months that the diary might not be real, in the same way that Hunter Biden's laptop was not real. We're still not supposed to talk about the contents of Ashley Biden's diary. We're not supposed to talk about the contents of any of this sort of stuff. Now, you know for a fact that if Ivanka Trump left her personal diary lying around a hotel room and a Democrat grabbed it and then tried to leverage that into public view, and the diary contained some of the saucier parts that Ashley Biden's diary contained, that'd be front page news on every newspaper in the country. But that's not the way this works anymore. So if you're talking about the overall rigging of society against one side of the political aisle, it definitely feels like the walls are closing in to a lot of people. Does it not? It certainly does to people like me, and I am certainly not on the outer fringe of the right wing in the United States. The battle for the culture is heating up. We here at the Daily Wire are making some big moves, so be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, because you're not going to want to miss a single moment.